Hello guys, welcome to the last class, the creative class. So as you know, this is our last craft class of the semester. So we are going to be working with a game, with a board game. So we will be making this game together. So everything that you need is a piece of paper, or as I wrote here on the lesson plan, you can use a shoebox or a cardboard, or just even paper, as I have here a paper, because we are going to make a board game as this one. Let me show to you. Can you see here? So this is a board game. You know, when you play board games with your family or with your siblings, so we're going to make a board game together using everything that we learned during the semester. So it's going to be a reveal board game. So everything that you need, as I told you, is 2 pages. Why? Because in one of them it's going to be a draft. So it's not the final version, it's just a draft. And the second page, and then it's going to be the final version. So let's pick up the first page. And you have to think about 3 things of each subject that you want to put in your game board. So for example, here I have my 3 things. I wrote here many things. So for example, in English, that's the first thing. So the first thing that you have to do is think about your questions, as it's a board game, so it's going to be a game, and you have to think about the questions. So the first subject is English. So think now about what you studied during this semester. So for example, here in English, I want to talk about the 3 things. So I have here, think of R words, for example, star or car, words with the R sound. I have here read 2 tricky words, because these words, they have the same way to write but different ways to say the sounds. And in moon and hawk. And the third question is about read and sound out, sound by sound, the word snail. So snail. So these are my 3 questions about English. So now you have to think about 3 questions about the English subject. 3 things that you studied during the semester and you want to put here into your game board, okay? So that's the first subject. If you need more time, I would say that it's better to write down the sentence, as I did here. So I wrote what I want to put here in my board, so I know exactly what I have to say, exactly what I have to write. So please, if you need more time to think about the English questions, pause the video and then think about 3 things that you studied and you really like it and you want to put in your board, in your game board. So 3 things about English. Great. So now we are going to think about 3 things about math activities. So as you know, we studied many things in math, but we have to choose just 3 things to put in our game. So I choose name a 2D shape, which is a circle. So here is going to be name a 2D shape. Solve an addition statement, which is 21 plus 7. And show the number 57 in base 10 blocks. So these are my 3 questions about math. So now you have to think about 3 things 3 cool things that you want to put here in your board game, and think about these 3 things, and if you need more time, pause the video. Great. In science now, you have to choose 3 things that we studied in science and you really like them. So I put here, can you name a hard material? So give the name of a hard material. Can be, for example, the table, can be a glass. These are hard materials. The second question is, what is the cow offspring called? So how we call the cow offspring? So that's my second question. And the third question is, name the upper body part. So upper body, from your legs to up, upper body, from your belly up. Great. So these are my 3 science questions. So you have to pause the video and think about 3 questions in science, things that we studied during the semester and you want to put here in your game board. And I have 3 things, 3 questions about geography. The first question is, name the bedroom piece of furniture. So we can find many pieces of furniture in our bedroom, so you have to name them. The second question is not a question, it's an affirmative. So you have to complete. My address is. So you have to remember your address. And my third question is, what does the travel agent do? Remember, you were a travel agent some weeks ago, so we have to talk about in my board. I will write it. So if I'm playing a game with someone, I will say, what does that travel agent do? I will ask this question because I think it's a good question. So let's go to the history questions. So you have to think about the geography questions, and if you need, pause the video. History. My first question in history is, describe a Celtic roundhouse. So you have to describe a Celtic roundhouse, no windows, just one big floor, one big room, and then. And the second question is, draw your family timeline. So draw your family timeline. And the last question is, what generation do my grandparents belong to? Remember, we talked about generations. First generation, second, third generation. So you have to think about the generation that your grandparents belong to. And the last activity, the last 3 questions, is about PD, personal development. And my 3 questions are, what I can do to calm myself down. So this is one question. The second is, how can I fill up an empty bucket? Remember the bucket fillers and bucket dippers. So talk about like filling up the buckets. So what can I do to fill up an empty bucket? And the third question is, what makes you happy? So what makes me happy? And that's my third question. Okay, so I have here all of the questions planned and everything that I want to write on my game. So now it's time to hands-on and to actually plan my game. So I want to plan my game with shapes, different shapes. So my squares where I jump, it's going to be some shapes, different shapes. Okay, so let me put this my iPad down, but just to revise here. So we have here this board, okay, as and you can see here. So this is just an example. So as I told you, the first page is just a draft, and then I will do it using my pencil. So now you can see here. Okay, so here I have my page and the questions here. Great. So here it's the start. I want to start here. And I will write start. Can you see that? Start. Great. So let's go. Here I will do like this. And the heart. And I will write here my first question, which is think about our words. So I will just write here the sound, R sound, words. Here I have my first challenge, R sound words. Great. So let's go to my second. Of course, I don't want everything about English and everything about math and everything about science. So I will mix the questions. So I have here an English question. So I will have now a math class question, which is square. And I will write here inside, name a 2D shape. So you can leave these like this, name a 2D shape, or you can also draw here the shape that you want this person naming. Great, so let's go to the science question. And there will be some like this. And let's go to the science. Here I have, and it's going to be a circle. And my science question is, think about a hard material. Hard material. So let's go here. And then I will put here in the middle a tricky square. So if you are here, you have to back one square, for example. Here you have to come back if you stop here. Great, so let's go to the geography. Geography. It is my address is, right? Let's go here to the history. It's a cube. Can you see here my cube? History. Describe a Celtic roundhouse. Here I have describe a Celtic roundhouse. Now I will put my PD question with a heart. What I can do to calm myself down? That's my last question. So can you see here? This is a draft of my board, my game board. For example, if I had a mistake and I want to erase it, I can do it and think about how can we improve this? How can we do it better? For example, I didn't like this rounding situation, so I want like a path like this. Can I do it? Yes, of course you can. But because of that, we need to plan the activity. Plan the activity. It has to be a start and finish. And great. Here we have. And that's my game. Of course, it hasn't finished yet because I have more questions to write, but that's the idea. So when you finish your draft, you can make your final version. So I have here my draft, and here I will do my final version of my game board. So when you finish, you can play with your friends, with your mom, with your family. You can play it. Also, you can play it online if you want. So you have here your game board made by you. So you know all of the questions, and you can have fun with your siblings and with your family. So that's the idea, guys. When you finish here the draft, you can do the final version. Why? So it's very, very important to think about the questions before starting doing this. So before drawing your board, you have to think about the questions. This is the main activity now. Think about the questions. When you finish to think about the questions, and then you can start with your game board. At the end, when everything is ready, you can color, you can use glitter, you can use whatever you want, because it's your game board, so you can do whatever you want. But it's very important to think about good questions, and these good questions, they have to be related to the contents that we studied, and then have fun with these questions, and you can play during your time free, your vacations. Now we're gonna have 2 weeks off, so you can play this game and have fun. Okay, so see you guys. Don't forget, tomorrow is holiday, so we see each other on Friday, our last day of the semester. So see you guys. Bye bye.